I'm going to hand over to Anthony, who, with his colleagues, is going to share with us some of the perspectives that come out of being an experienced master planner, and how that works, what works well, and with cities and towns becoming so competitive with one another, why the quality of the built environment is now so incredibly important to us.
Right, thank you very much, and good evening from our team. It's very nice to see you all. You've been really patient. We'll keep this short because we're dying to hear what you have to say. I mean, as has become clear this evening, it's a different world. From Tuesday next week, there's the biggest change to the planning system in the UK in 60 years, and it's a completely different scenario. We specialize in working with local communities in developing statutory plans and master plans, and the new planning framework is kind of catching up with what some people have been doing, but offers a huge opportunity to become involved in a very serious way in the future of your town. And Guildford is a very beautiful, a very special place, and is an incredible landscape setting. It's fantastic, very engaged community, and it's just, teeming with potential. Now, we also just want to welcome back many faces here this evening who were at the workshop on the 10th of January, and thank you for your continued involvement. In terms of just one or two slides to introduce ourselves very briefly, we work across England and also internationally, but some of the places we are and have worked in include St Albans, Bath City Centre, Stratford upon Avon, Winchester, Welland Garden City, Letchworth Garden City, very comparable historic locations. We specialise in working in historic towns. We're working for English Heritage at the moment on the production of national good practice on master planning in historic towns. So we've been very fortunate in having a wealth of experience. I'm waiting for the slides to move on. Here we go. Can I just move them on? Thanks very much. The slides now show here St Albans, where a consultation shop was opened up as part of the project, where people could come in and meet the project team, see the plans during the project, and it was very, very successful. There are lots of different ways in which communities can be involved under the new National Planning Policy Framework and the Localism Act. Bath is another example I've just mentioned. The next one is Stratford upon Avon, a 2-year-long process where every single member of the community was involved in a very lengthy process. A group was formed called World Class Stratford, which involved all the relevant organisations in Stratford working in partnership to produce their plan. I just mentioned because two of the key proposals in the Stratford plan are the removal of the gyratory system and the relocation of central car parking to free up that space for community uses. We're working locally in places like Horsham and Woking and Farnborough and Aldershot and elsewhere, and have a fairly good understanding of the region. And I've mentioned Winchester, and Hereford is another historic town where we're trying to unpick a gyratory with a new retail scheme. I'll stop at that point. My colleagues, Anthony Benson and I, we worked on the production of the representations on the Council's plan back in January with Peter Bishop, and we feel there's a lot in that plan which is very helpful. We've made some further suggestions. We're going to share those with you now, just so you can see how we've taken on board the comments you made to us in January. Second, Peter Bishop, who's also a member of our team, is just going to inspire you for 5 minutes about nice places that Guildford could be like. Until recently, Peter was Deputy Chief Executive of the London Development Agency and has a wealth of experience of actually delivering change on the ground. Thank you. Anthony.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks, Anthony. So we were appointed by the Society to articulate a response fairly rapidly to the draft master plan. So we've put together some thoughts. We've been to the town. We know the town fairly well. I actually used to be an officer at the council many moons ago, my first ever job, working on the John Davy, which I enjoyed a great deal. So, of course, the first thing you have to look at is the town's history. It's absolutely essential to its character and identity. But, of course, towns change, evolve, investment comes, and it's very important that we try and attract that investment because we are competing with many other towns and cities in the region. So we want to keep what's good, and we want to improve and contrast modern, high-quality architecture and design with the character that people associate Guildford with, and it's one of its core strengths. So you obviously know the strengths of Guildford. High Street, absolutely fantastic High Street with that sense of town and country. Wonderful topography that the town enjoys, sets up a whole rich relationships between buildings and streets. And that contrast between that high street retailing on North Street and High Street with the alleys and lanes and ginnels between, rich and oozing with character. But there are also some major weak points in the town, ones that you will also be familiar with. This is a picture, I think it's a brilliant picture, because this is the heart of your town centre. It's right. I mean, it's an amazing bit of real estate right in the heart of your town centre, and you almost wouldn't know it was there because you're not sort of drawn along High Street Bridge. You're certainly not drawn along the River Walk either side of the Riverway there, and yet the Riverway runs right through the heart of your town. It is one of your core assets environmentally, and something that actually adds significant value to the developments that benefit from that frontage that it can provide. This is how your main retail thoroughfare, your main retail street, is connected to your principal environmental asset of the Riverway. And this is the walk from the station to the core of the town centre, the High Street. So we know these issues, and actually every town has these issues. But what we need to make sure is that everything that happens in the town contributes collectively to addressing these weaknesses and making the town more competitive, a more beautiful, more enjoyable, more attractive place that attracts more visitors and attracts the investment that it deserves. As we've said, other people have said, we had a smaller session at St Nicholas Church Hall just up the street there a few months ago, and that was very informative for us because it provides an initial flavour of the feeling. And I have to say, there weren't really any major surprises other than an overwhelming enthusiasm to make Guildford a better place. And I think that has to be the spirit in which all these sorts of sessions and these workshops are cast. It's very important to stay positive and to build on strengths and assets. So that session informed our representation, and our representation took sort of two perspectives, really. I think one thing that the council, that the society was concerned about was the lack of a wider town-wide view of that the master plan took. It was quite a contained document that looked at the town centre boundary, which is an artificial planning red line that runs around the commercial core. But of course that forms only one part of the town's economy as a town as a whole. So the town centre is obviously very important, but there are other focuses of activities, major areas of investment around the town that all together contribute to the health of the town's economy. And I think it's very important that we look carefully at how those different areas of activity and investment can together contribute to the improved health of the town. Then looking more specifically at the town centre, I think what the principal concern that we had was that the master plan lacked a core vision and aspiration, that it's very important that there are some straightforward, simple, unquestionable objectives that we all should be working towards, and that they're well known to everybody. And we felt that the master plan, whilst it did deal in a competent way with a whole series of sites, it lacked an overall vision that tied everything together. And I think that is essential for the long-term planning and well-being of the town. And we think that strategy, as I'm sure most people would agree, should be aimed at improving the relationships between the core town centre, the high street, on that principal axis up the hill that connects to the river, North Street and the relationship between High Street and North Street, and the complementary retail experience that those two core shopping streets provide. The river corridor itself, which is perhaps the biggest weak point in the town, presents some marvellous opportunities. And, of course, those improvements to the station, where there is earmarked some major investment, but that relationship between the station and the core high street is one that is desperately needing some improvement. It's not a good experience. So we've done some plans and diagrams which you can have a look at in the document. This is Guildford as it was in the 18th century, and the core elements that we've just talked about, bar one, are all there. High Street's in place, obviously the commercial heart back then, North Street there doing a complementary job, the River Way running through the heart of the town. The station hasn't arrived yet, and that sets up a whole series of tensions. But today, the town, the experience of the town is over-dominated by the gyratory and the traffic problems that are associated with it. Obviously, these roads are major A roads. They're doing a very important job. But at the moment, there's a feeling in that heart where everything comes together, where all the axes converge, there is a feeling that the winner is tarmac and the loser is the people of the town. So we're keen to start a debate through this process, asking some fundamental questions about the town. Can the gyratory be unpicked? And it won't be the first time that question's been asked. But I think now, given the context that we've heard about, and the changes in the planning system and the opportunities that there are before us, we think it's the right time to ask these questions. So we've done a range of propositions to generate a debate. Can we unpick the gyratory? Can we perhaps downgrade Bridge Street to improve that pedestrian route from the station to the town and the Friary Centre? Could we perhaps more radically think about unpicking the gyratory and connecting High Street and North Street and the Friary much more directly to the river corridor, and then releasing some very significant parcels of land for redevelopment that would then actively address the river. The river would have an address that at the moment it so desperately lacks. We even asked a question looking at existing streets about possibly even looking at Friary Street. Friary Street is the little pedestrianised street. Actually had a lot of investment in recent years, and it's actually quite a nice street at the moment. But I think it's important to ask these fundamental questions about the vision for the town. How can we make sure that this river corridor and environment has an address, has a front, has some activity, has some reason for being there? Because at the moment you're positively discouraged from going there. And then finally, perhaps most radically, we've asked a question about should we try and grab the opportunities that there are along the river corridor, right up towards the A3, to look about trying to solve some of the through traffic problems by trying to divert through traffic out of this core commercial heart of the town. They're really just the start of a debate, and I'm sure you're looking forward to continuing those discussions in the workshops. But before we tell you about the workshops,